on Pod Hub Network. Your city, your podcast.
To the delight of this crowd, McClendon marches down the dugout steps with first base. McCutcheon's throw. The runner breaks to the plate. Here's the throw. Wow. He is out. The Buccos win.
That ball's hit well to left center field. Back toward the track. And that ball is gone.
You are listening to the North Shore 9 podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, make sure to watch NS9 Live every Thursday on Twitch and help support by becoming a patron. Let's go Bucks!
Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Starbucs. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, as always, Jim Rosati. What up, Jim?
What's going on, DiNardo?
I'm
Happy
awake.
Wednesday.
I'm ready. Happy Wednesday.
There you go. Yeah, a little late to the show, but hey, it's all good.
Not my fault. Not my
We're
fault.
here.
I don't know whose it is, but it's not mine.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
Perfect. Anyways, yeah, what is up? It is Wednesday. It is 68 degrees in Pittsburgh. Feels like it's 69 though, so that's good.
So that's nice. I had a softball doubleheader last night, and I'm like really sore. That's when you know you're getting old. When you play 2 softball games, you wake up the next day and it's like, oh no.
So you're not sitting out though, right? Because Cal Farnsworth would be very, very pissed off at you because you're not an athlete if you're sore in September and you're sitting out.
General soreness. Yeah, if I had a game tonight, I'd probably be.
That's what I want to hear. Tough it out,
through it.
Jim. I don't care if it's hamstring tightness. I don't care if it's loose particles in your elbow. And I don't care if you had cancer. You better stick it out and get your ass in that game, Jim. It does beat kicking a fan. That'd be a normal reason to be out of games and have fans watch you because you kicked the fan and you went immediately to the IL. That's normal.
Yeah.
For the people that are listening, I'm like, what the hell are these guys talking about? Yeah. Look up Kyle Farnsworth's Twitter, and if you don't know what we're talking about, you will quickly find out what we're talking about. Especially if you're a reliever, says Justin Brett. Yep. All right. So enough of Kyle Farnsworth. Enough of anything related Cubs, because the Pirates decided to lose 4 straight games to the Cubs, even though like every game it felt like they were going to win it. What a terrible series that was. I don't know.
Yeah, it was. It was like both teams were playing terrible. The Cubs would do something really bad, and then the Pirates would do something really bad. And it just happened to be that the Pirates would just typically do the bad thing last. So, Cubs with a 4-game sweep when, the Pirates were, I feel like we were ahead in every game. If we weren't ahead in every game, we were at least ahead in three of them.
Yeah, I want to say this. I agree. I think it was every single game.
So a lot of blown leads, a lot of just weird ways to end the game. I mean, we had our NS9 game day on Thursday. So the game ended on a drop pop up. What are you gonna do?
If you saw the initial reaction of that one, how do you just not catch a pop up? That's how you lose a game at second base. You just decide to not catch the ball.
Yeah, so it was bad. It was bad.
And then we had 2 grand slams in one game too? Was that Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday. They came out. Well, the Cubs hit a grand slam.
Was that Ian Happ who hit the grand slam? No.
And then I forget who it
Duffy.
was, but
not first. I'm assuming Duffy. I'm looking at the box score. Duffy or Schwindel.
Okay.
Hit the grand.
Schwindel's was last. I'm pretty sure.
So then, it was Duffy hit
but then Reynolds
hit a home run in the third.
Yeah. Then Reynolds hit one. And then Schwindel hit one like towards the end of the game. Yeah, so weird series. It was actually kind of a fun series to watch because like there was stuff happening. Like it wasn't boring by any means.
No, it wasn't boring.
It was just
but much for
the
the
outcomes.
wrong reasons.
Yeah, the outcomes were bad. But there was plenty of action. I mean, it was a 6-5, 6-5, 7-6, 11-8. So it wasn't any like 2-1 or 2-0 games where the offense just looked completely helpless. You know, there was a lot of stuff going on in the series. It's just the Cubs ended up scoring more.
There's a lot of bad baseball too. Like even on the Cubs side, just to say, obviously because they were terrible, but I mean defensively it was so bad for them.
It was awful on like as far as like if you had a kid and you were wanting them to watch baseball so that they could learn the sport and get better at it, that would have been a bad series to show them. Like you don't want to show them that series.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. Unless you want to be like, here's what you shouldn't do.
just gonna bring this up, and Jim, this is gonna be lovely for you because it is true. I mean, the Cubs series was terrible, except as we have in the chat here by Mitch, except for Anthony Alford, because Anthony Alford had himself a hell of a Cubs series. Now
he did.
Not to blow out his candle too early. Everything outside of this Cubs series has been terrible, but this Cubs series, if you just compact it in this one little 4-game stretch he had, was superb.
No, I can't say enough things about Alford in this series. Like I think I tweeted out on Saturday, like he was absolutely electric. Like that's what he was. He homered in game. Oh wait, hold on. He went over 5 in game 1. Oh, game 1 was bad.
Okay.
But game 2,
True.
2 for 4 with 2 homers. Game 3, 2 for 5 with 2 stolen bases. Like he was just making it happen.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if the wind was blowing out on Friday. Maybe that had something to do with it, but no, I mean he crushed the ball. Like a few of those homers, he hit the one out onto the street, like it left the ballpark, I think.
Well, top of my head, 463. Is that what that one went? I think.
Yeah, like he was crushing the ball.
Right.
He had a really good series.
Yes, yeah. The first game went 1 for 5, then 0 for 5, 2 for 4, 2 for 5. In this series, 3. Oh no, I'm sorry, that was the White Sox. He went 1 for 4. The first game, I'm thinking of.
But I mean, 3 total homers.
But at the White Sox, he went 1 for 4, the home run. I mean, let's put it this way: Anthony Alford in Chicago for the month of September during day games is a really good player.
Yeah, pretty much.
469 was correct. I hope you're right, not just saying 469, but that's what Mitch says. 469. That ball went. No, I mean we give him a lot of shit. He had a great series against the Cubs. It's just unfortunate, like literally just back to his ways. The Detroit series, he's 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts, 3 strikeouts.
Yeah, it's a little rough.
Anyways, yeah, Anthony Alford had himself a series. I don't know how we want to transition this. I mean, Anthony Alford the rest of the year. I mean, that's just going to happen though, right? Regardless. I mean, there's no one else to really see anyways. You and I both believe he's not a major league player, but you're going to give him the opportunity the rest of the year, right?
I mean, there's really no one else to play, especially now with Polanco gone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you gotta think that Alford's getting pretty much the majority of the starts. I mean, you're probably going to throw Susugo in there a little bit, like put Gamble in left, Susugo in right, maybe a couple games with Park. But I mean, it seems like Alford's getting the bulk of the playing time, like starting 2 out of 3 games every series, right? Which I don't have a problem with. And like, again, who else are you going to play? There's a lot of decisions that need to be made this offseason, and one of them is going to be, we need to DFA Alford. So
Right.
they need to give, I guess, enough data. And he's 86 plate appearances on the year. Let him get to like 150 and then make your decision.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think part of it, like you mentioned, there's really no one there. I mean, it's the whole Polanco situation when everyone was pounding on the door to, DFA Polanco. And my stance was pretty clear. It's like, I mean, I get he's terrible, but at the same point, what's he blocking? What's the point of it? For the most part. So that aspect I do get. The other thing too is, and this is how we kind of transition this. I mean, obviously the rosters have expanded. Maybe you see Bligh Madris. Maybe you see my mind just went blank. I was going to say his name first, but I said Bligh's instead. Oliva. There's Jared Oliva.
Yeah.
None of those guys came up when the rosters expanded. Okay, like Phillip Evans comes back. Like there's Shelby Miller. There's like there was nothing really inspiring about this. I know it only goes 2 more players, but there's nothing really inspiring about the 28 roster now. So yes, it's like, okay, you kind of just keep Alford there to play, I guess. Again, there's no point of moving him. It's not as if like Bligh, I feel like could. I feel like he somewhat earned the right to get called up, if anyone. He's not. It's not like he's playing terrible in AAA. It's not like he's playing great. But again, like we're talking about Anthony Alford, you and I kind of made up a decision. It's like you can move on to him and just kind of see Bligh up here. Jared struggled a bit in AAA. It's not like anyone's pounding on the door. Again, I feel like Bligh might be the closest one to that to get that call. But again, it's not as if he's tearing the cover off to warrant that. So again, it's Anthony Alford there. So I guess it's Anthony Alford for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Oliva just hasn't been good. And I think, at this point, he's just so his hitting. He's not a pro hitter. Like he's not an MLB hitter. I mean, his AAA numbers are meh, right? And then every time he's had the chance to do it at the major league level, he just hasn't been able to, right? Bligh Madris, again, a non-prospect, depth guy. I kind of put him on the same level as Oliva at this point. They're both 25. Oliva was definitely the better prospect coming through the system. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing him. He'd have to be added to the 40-man roster. So, but there's plenty of people who can be.
What will the Pirates do?
There's 20 people on the 40-man roster where if we DFA'd them, I wouldn't really care. Right. So, that shouldn't really be an issue. So I mean, I'd be okay with seeing him. I don't know if they're going to go that route though. I mean, so far the people they've called up have been people we've seen before and people who are very uninspiring.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the thing, I mean, I wasn't expecting like, all right, the Pirates have called up Phil Evans today. Haven't we seen enough of him? Isn't that pretty much over now? I just why not just give Bligh that chance to make the major league, like get that call up. I guess that's just where I come at. I understand that he would have to get added to the 40-man, but again, like does like you said, 20 other people have to be on it right now? No. In AAA right now, he's batting 268, getting on base 355. So 111 weighted run created plus. So he's 11% better than the average player in AAA. Again, it's 25 years old. It's not as if he's just blowing through and tearing up AAA. He's got 8 home runs on the year in 88 games. No, but he's playing well enough. There's really no one that's playing good in the majors either to keep him down there, So in my mind, it's like, you know what? The rosters expand. Let's call up Bligh. Let's give him that major league experience, right? Let's promote him. They didn't. So here we are. That's all I'm at, I guess. Again, the moves just were like you said, very, very, very uninspiring.
Yeah, like if they wanted to go like DFA Phillip Evans and bring up Bligh for the the remainder of the season, I would be okay with that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would be perfectly okay with that. That kind of makes sense.
I mean, Evans doesn't have a future on this team. I can't imagine Evans even being tendered a contract next year, especially with all these utility guys they've brought in, over the trade deadline. So, Phillip Evans's days are extremely numbered. And I don't even think he's on the team anymore. Wasn't he just optioned?
Well, I was gonna say, I mean so he was, and then they did option him to bring up Dylan Peters last night.
Yeah, so I feel like they make a roster pretty much every day at this point. They're like shuffling. It's like whoever they feel like starting that day is being called up, and then he's getting hurt, or then he's being sent down. I don't know what they're doing, but yeah, but they're definitely keeping whoever's in charge of the transactions page on their website. They're keeping him pretty busy. Just in
Right.
I just pulled up their September transactions, right? I mean, it's September 8th right now. So we've had 7 days in September, and there's a recall, option, recall, activated, option, recalled, IL, recalled, option, IL, claimed, activated, option. So, I mean, there's just a lot of transactions so far, and we are only 6 days in. I guess this Connor Overton guy, is he even
AAA?
Who the hell? Yeah, what is he doing? Are we going to give him a shot? I bet he's up at some point this September. So yeah, who the hell knows?
Who the hell knows? That's about right. Yeah. And going on from Alford and Bligh, and as Mitch points out in the chat too, they're going to do that because they have to make a decision on Vanessa Hudgens' boyfriend. Another case. Now that's another guy too. I think even more so than Anthony Alford. This is here's your last hurrah, Cole Tucker. You weren't doing much in AAA, but we're not gonna use that for our excuse to get rid of you this offseason. We'll give you your opportunity in the majors. We'll let you falter there to say you can't hack it. Now, of course, I mean, if he does hack it, then there's maybe some decisions to be made. But yes, he's in the majors now. Since its call up on August 28th, he's got 37 plate appearances. He is batting 194, 64 weighted run created plus. He's striking out 32.4% of the time. He has looked like Cole Tucker at the plate. He's made a couple hits that he's connected. The swing looks good, but that's very few and little, much like Anthony Alford, because most of the time he doesn't make a connection. He just can't hit a baseball. And can't hit a baseball. I don't know if you're going to be in the majors much longer. So he's not looked good as well so far.
Yeah, he's again kind of going back to, I mean, same boat as Alford, like you said, same boat as Alford, same boat as like what we talked about with Evans. I don't think he's a major leaguer. He's had plenty of opportunities now at this point. He's well over 300 plate appearances for his career, and he's just really shown that he can't hit. So his defense isn't so good that he can get by with a 41 weighted runs created plus. Nobody's defense is that good, right?
Kevin Newman.
And the versatility's fine, but if you're not, again, you need to be able to hit a little bit. And he can't do it. The walk rate's nice, right? Like he does like one thing pretty good, but if you're walking 12% of the time and only hitting, less than that,
21% of the time,
it's not going to work out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's what we kind of hinted at. The one thing he has improved this year in the AAA, right, in Indy, is that walk rate has really increased. It's a really good percentage, at 15.6 in AAA. Just the problem is he's also batting 223. So it's like, great, the walk rate has increased. I don't know specifically what it is. I don't know if he's just more patient. I don't know if he's got a better eye, but he just can't hit. and it's only going to get worse if you go in the majors. And sure, he's got, in this short time span, right, 59 total plate appearances this year in the major leagues. He's got 11.9% walk rate, so he is walking at a good rate, but he's batting 173. He just can't hit a baseball, and he just hasn't. And he's 25 years old. And I feel, as you mentioned, like this organization, whether it was Huntington or Mitch Harrington, has given him opportunities and chances to do so, and he just has not been able to do it. And again, it's not a situation where, for the past 2 years he wasn't in the majors or whatever, and this year they put him in AAA and things have clicked and things have changed, and now he's only had 59 plate appearances in the majors this year. Like it still hasn't translated in AAA. I mean, they held him back in Bradenton, right, when the season started. Like, they didn't even put him into AAA. They held him back to learn how to hit, right?
Yeah, that's
I mean, that was kind of telling.
I mean,
but at the same sense, that to me, I think we talked about that was more or less like this kind of is your final thing. You can't hit. Let's work on things. And again, it's not as if whatever they worked on has really translated in AAA. And now they're in the majors. It's still not. I absolutely feel like we're absolutely done with Cole Tucker.
Yeah, and there's nothing at this point that is interesting enough to keep him around. And I mean, it's a shame. He was a first round pick, so we had high hopes for him. I mean, by all accounts, seems like a good guy. But at some point, you've got to perform just a little bit at the major league level, and he hasn't done it at all.
Yeah. And that's the thing that stinks. It's like the whole Polanco situation, in the sense where you're absolutely correct. I mean, this guy just seems like a really, really good dude. He's easy to root for. I mean, it was a puzzling first round pick to begin with. I don't think there was too many on board when that pick was made that said, yeah, Cole Tucker, that's a great pick. It was from the start kind of like, oh boy, a lot of potential, right? Hopefully he fills out and does what they think he can do, but it never happened, and it's just unfortunate. And I think the thing too, like we're talking about, I mean, it's not as if also like Hoy Park is doing great, and that's why like we can have Cole expendable. It's not like Kevin Newman's playing great. I mean, there's a lot of terrible middle infield play as well, but I think it's time to just move on and find something else.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're right. As far as his draft profile goes, he was like super young when he was drafted. I think he was drafted as a 17-year-old. And it was just a lot of it based off of potential and can he start hitting, right? But yeah, he's not that guy.
I got to get that as a drop in here. We use that way too much now.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a shame. You want your first round picks, especially to at least pan out. Like you want your first round picks to be at least like MLB starters, right? Like at the very least. And he's just nowhere near that. And he's been given plenty of opportunities.
I mean, technically, he started in the MLB. So technically speaking, he is an MLB starter. Technically. But in reality, he's not an MLB player at all.
No.
I hate that I keep dunking on him here. He's too nice of a guy. But all right, so I guess again, like we can move on from him. Maybe we should put this into a lighter mode. Somewhat. It's still not great, but he's turned it around lately. But Brian Hayes, let's talk about him a little bit. So he's certainly had some struggles this year. Now, I tweeted out from the account yesterday a little bit about those struggles. Compared to last year to this year, there's definitely been a big change in his launch angle. Not as if he was like just crushing the ball in the air, but he was driving the ball last year, right? I mean, top of my head, I think his I got to pull up now. I think it was at 7.9% was his launch angle last year.
He was right around 8. Yeah.
which equated to, of course, a lot of line drives, right? Not a whole lot of grounders. He was hitting the ball well last year. I mean, we all know what Cabrian Hayes did last year. But when you look at this year, his launch angle is down to 2%, which is ninth worst in baseball. Now, mind you, what's that?
It's actually down now. It's 1.7.
Perfect. So it's 1.7. And I'm glad you brought that up because I'm kind of allude here. He's hitting the past 2 games, he's 5 for 9 in the leadoff spot. So he's got hits, but it's not as if those hits was like some change in his profile. It's like he's driving the ball. There also were grounders, as you just alluded. Then his launch angle is now down to 1.7. That might now put him at like 7th worst in baseball. It's not good. I mean, this is like we're talking about like Kevin Newman, just with less power behind it. So some I don't know if we're gonna call it worry, okay? But I guess you can kind of correlate why Cabrian Hayes isn't put up the numbers he did last year. I mean, something can change this though, right? Right, Jim? Like there's still hope. There's still an outlook for Cabrian Hayes to be a good hitter, right?
So yes, I'm going to shift this into a little bit of optimism here.
Thank you.
If there's one thing we've seen over the last 5-6 years, right? It's that a player can change how they swing and change their swing and make it more optimal, right? And we see it all the time with people across Major League Baseball. And with Hayes, like I said, the problem isn't exit velocity. He hits the ball hard enough, right? I mean, if you look at how hard he's hitting the ball, he's currently in the 69th percentile, which is very nice hitter as far as average exit velocity. So it's not that, like, if you're in the 69th percentile and hitting the ball hard, you're a good hitter, right? Like you're above average. His hard hit percentage is 76%. So like he's hitting the ball hard, right? That's not the problem here. Like we mentioned before, the problem is launch angle. And there's a few things here, right? 1.7 is pretty bad. League average is right around 10.5, 11, somewhere in that area. He doesn't actually need to get to that league average number, but like you mentioned last year, I think he was 7.5, somewhere in that area. And we saw what he did last year. Like he was showing some power. He was driving the ball. He was hitting extra base hits, right? It was great. So I think if he can just get to that 7 or 8, degree launch angle and kind of settle in right there, then, you'll see a lot less ground balls. You'll see more line drives. You'll see him driving the ball more. I will say this when it comes to him, like I'm looking at his like 7-day rolling average of his launch angle just throughout the course of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it keeps going down. So a couple things there. I don't know if there's something still wrong with where his hand is just not 100%, right? Because if you look at it, especially from like July to now, that launch angle, in July, he had an average 7-day rolling average again, but he was right around 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now he's actually in the negative. He's at about negative 0.6 degrees. He's actually been in the negative for about the last month or so. So that's really where you've seen this launch angle plummet, is this last month. Like I said, he's been in the negative pretty much the last month. So I think there may be something there with the hand. That's going to be what I'm guessing. I know they came out and said that like it's not necessarily hurting him, but it definitely is like something that he's still feeling. So I think that's one thing that could help this out. And also like he just like I said, to be on the optimistic side here, what we're seeing is he's struggling to really hit the ball, in an optimal way. And at the same time, he's playing at about a 2.5 win pace over the course of a full season, right? So we're looking we're looking at Ke'Bryan Hayes, and it's like, okay, he's really struggling, but even with that, he's still an above average major league player. And so that like I said, some optimism here is like if he can figure out this swing, which I feel like, by all accounts, he works hard. He's like a student of the game. Like this is like his life. Baseball is his life, right? I have some I think he's going to figure it out just based off all of that. And so that kind of brings you back to, okay, well, if he can figure this out, then he can become a really good player, right? Because he doesn't have it figured out right now. And he's above average. I mean, just strictly because of how good he is defensively, he's an above average major league player. So if he can just figure out how to hit a little bit more, then you're looking at a really good player. And I think he can do that. He's shown that he can do it. He just now needs to like sustain it over a period of time.
Right. Well, and that's why I want to say like this will get a better tone, because even though there's a negative thing that's happening, right, with Ke'Bryan Hayes not performing, not being a really good hitter, especially because of, again, like what he did last year, there is going to be optimism. There's going to be a good tone to this, because with everything that you mentioned, I truly feel like the outlook of Ke'Bryan, like seeing this, I feel positive, because I feel like there's a fundamental change that can definitely take place to make Ke'Bryan Hayes a better hitter and get back on track. Now, we've questioned the hand injury for some time. A big part of it was for the fact that he came back. They said it's not an issue. Like it's not going to hinder his performance, whatever. Otherwise they would have kept him on the IL. But like what I questioned too, and I think you did as well a bit, was like the amount of days off he was getting. So sure, like he's healthy, but it seemed like he was getting a day off almost like every other 6 or 7 day. For a guy like his age and stuff, like that shouldn't really happen. He had the All-Star break in there. He had like a built-in week off, and he was still getting days off in that month. So it almost felt like, is he maybe not really that healthy? So the hand playing in addition to this seems like that could definitely be a part of it, right? So you get a whole offseason to get better. The hand gets healthy and come back and be a better hitter. But also, like, again, like you're seeing, like he's just driving the ball directly into the dirt. What I find interesting is he's almost like a direct mirror this year of Eric Hosmer. Like the only difference is his expected balls and Eric Hosmer's are about the same, but Ke'Bryan Hayes is having worse luck and Eric Hosmer is having better luck, in his profile and such. But it's like they're the same player. And that was like always like Eric Hosmer's biggest notch. Like he hits the ball very, very hard. He just hits the ball into the dirt. And Eric Hosmer has like been on record to say like, well, that's just what I'm going to do. This type of hitter, I don't believe in launching. I don't believe in all this stuff. And it's like, well, great. That's why you're a first baseman who doesn't produce. So like with Ke'Bryan Hayes, I hope he's not stubborn and just saying, well, this is what I do and I'm going to stick to it. Like I feel like you say, he's a student of the game. He had better results last year. This is something that you probably can go ahead and fix and correct. And hey, there's probably a new batting coach, a new hitting coach on the way to look at Ke'Bryan Hayes and maybe fix him and work him out. So I'm with you too. Like I do believe this isn't Ke'Bryan Hayes. Like I've seen a lot of that talk too. Like, well, he's never done in the minors either. Like this is the profile he is. And Ke'Bryan Hayes just, he's not a good hitter. I don't really believe that. I definitely believe he can be a good hitter. I certainly see the results right now and feel there's a lot of positivity that Ke'Bryan Hayes can definitely turn it back around. Not saying he's going to be a 195 weighted runs created plus hitter like he was last year, right? He's not going to tear up the majors like he did last year, but he can definitely be a productive hitter. But even outside of that, just like you mentioned, regardless of that, he's still a good player. You mentioned it, you're on board. I think it's like the biggest stance on him. Like even if he was just an average hitter, this is before the call, maybe 2 years ago. Even if he's just an average hitter, that glove will make him like a 3-WAR player. And that's really what we're seeing right now. Mm-hmm. He's 8% below average. And he's a 2.5 WAR player.
Yeah. So I think there's definitely some optimism here. Like people shouldn't be down on Ke'Bryan Hayes. Like I said, that he's been hurt. That hand injury, like it's definitely been lingering. He missed all that time. We saw it with the, like look at Nick Gonzalez this year, right? Mm-hmm. It's a kind of similar thing where the hand injury came, took him a while to figure it out, and then he looks like he's figured it out right now, right? So it's just those hand injuries can sometimes be a little tricky. Give him an off season, let it get healthy again. Let's go ahead and revisit this next year and kind of see where he stands. But again, even if this is who he is, right? Which again, I don't think he is, but if this is who he is, he's an above average major leaguer with an elite glove at third base.
So elite.
I think he's like I said, I think he's better than this. And again, if you're just a league average hitter, he's a 3-win player. I think he's more than that. I think he can at least be an above average major league hitter. I've seen him do too many things with the bat that makes me believe he's not. And by that I mean just based off of last year, spring training this year, and in bits and pieces this year when he was on beginning of the year. I think he's better than average. It's just a matter of the hand getting healthy at this point and just putting it all together. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the launch angle, I'm thinking it has something to do with that. And I think it can be changed because we've seen him do it in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, this isn't something where this isn't something where we're just like hoping, and it's something we've never seen before. Like we've seen this before. We've seen him do it. Now, can he sustain that? Right. That's the next question. So let's see him healthy and see if he can sustain that.
Yep. So before we get into our prospect talk here, I guess one person just to bring him up, because boy, oh boy, does it just keep going. Yoshi fever. Yoshi. He just can't be stopped, Jim. I feel like every time we have a show, we talk about it, and it's like, what about next year? And it just keeps intensifying. And now, I mean, it's at the point where, not even totally as a joke, like, what about next year? Like, is this the Pirates starting first baseman next year, or DH if that comes into play? Hopefully for Yoshi's sake, the NL adopts the DH. But he can't be stopped. He is looking so good as a Pittsburgh Pirate. And I can't stress enough, this isn't just like when Nogowski comes in. Like, Yoshi looks legit. He's hitting for power. He's got 7 home runs with the Pirates.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely different than Nogowski, right? Nogowski was just a singles machine. He was just beating BABIP to death, and it was we then saw that it was just complete luck, right? But Yoshi's driving the ball. Like he's hitting the ball out of the ballpark. Yeah, I don't know the next thing. I don't know the answer to the next year question. I have no idea what they're going to do with him. Is he? I mean, there's a couple things that are going to come into play here, right? I mean, he's got 7 home runs now in the last month, basically. Does this keep up a little bit longer and he ends up with 10 or 11 home runs, and another team's like, hey, has Yoshi put it all together? And they go out and get him, right?
Or is it going to be? He has to be signed.
Yeah,
and he can be signed by whoever.
Yeah. So at this point, it's like, if he keeps hitting and hitting and hitting, then, the Pirates are going to have to bid against some multiple people for him. I don't know if Yoshi is just like comfortable here and he's going to say, hey, you know what? Once I went to Pittsburgh, I started hitting. So, maybe I'll stick around. I have no idea what to think about this situation. The only thing I do know is I want to keep seeing him hit. Like I want to keep seeing him every day in the lineup. And I mean, obviously I'm not going to expect that he puts up these crazy numbers. Like, I mean, these aren't really sustainable.
Oh, no, I mean,
right?
They're crazy numbers. So, just like you said, it's
yeah.
absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I mean, let's stop.
Not sustainable.
Just forget. I mean, you mentioned the home runs, but like putting things in perspective, right? Like he's only had 59 plate appearances. It's small sample, but still the guy has 15 hits, 7 of them are homers, 3 of them are a double, and 1's a triple. So 11 of his 15 hits have all gone for extra bases.
Yeah. I mean, just crushing the ball. So keep putting him out there, keep playing him. And there's no reason why he shouldn't be playing every day pretty much at this point. And yeah, at the end of the year, assess it and be like, okay, well, if we bring him back, how much is he going to cost, right? And go from there. I mean, they do have plenty of money to spend next year, so I don't see why it wouldn't be an issue to bring him back. But it's like, okay, where does he fit on this team? And you know, obviously, right now, power has been the thing we've been lacking all year long, and he's finally kind of brought that into the lineup.
So this probably will come more as a hot take in a sense, because again, it's very small sample. But the year's 2022. Based on just the information you have right now, right, on September 8th, 2021, a lot of sample size of Colin Moran, a very, very small sample size of Yoshi Tsutsugo. If you were to make the call today, who would you rather see in 2022? And of course, assuming you can sign Yoshi, right? There's an agreement, and I'm sure it's not a 5-year, $100 million deal, right? You can sign Yoshi. Which player are you going into next year if you had a choice between them? Colin Moran or Yoshi Tsutsugo?
I mean, I guess I'm going with Yoshi. We know what we have with Moran.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's going to give you league average offense, basically terrible defense, and he is going to, you know, maybe get hurt a few times. Whereas Yoshi's got that power potential. I mean, you never know. I mean, I have no doubt that if you put Yoshi out there and you play him every day, he's going to be at least like a 25 homer guy, right? Which would be nice to have in the lineup. So yeah, I guess I'd rather see Yoshi at this point.
I'm with you too, and I think it's the exact same thing. I mean, like where this club is positioned right now, they're not good. It's not as if you're vying for playoffs or World Series. Like if you were the Dodgers per se, maybe you would pick with Colin Moran because he's safe. You know what you have. You're going to win something where Yoshi could be a complete bust, and now you're stuck, right? But I just feel like with this team, like he clearly has the highest ceiling and the most potential. You know, he's come over to the States for, like we mentioned time and time again, for a reason. Like he was signed by the Rays for that $6 million deal, right? They had to pay the posting fee. There was a reason why they got him, but the thing is, it's not panned out. He's been a average to very, very bad player in the major leagues. So there's a lot of you look at and say, well, he could definitely not pan out. And this is just a 59 plate appearance, you know, flash in the pan, and it's going to go away. And that could definitely happen. Like he get exposed and, you know, go out there for a full season. Like you said, hit 25 home runs, he'd probably do it. Same sense, like maybe not 25, but like maybe 20. Like Gregory Polanco hit 20 home runs too, you know? Mm-hmm. Yoshi could turn into Gregory Polanco, and we saw what that led the fan base to do. So like that could happen with Yoshi, but I'll be okay with it because I feel like even though I like Colin Moran, I'm a Colin Moran supporter. I think he's a good baseball player. At that position you need to hit, and at the position you can find it. And I just feel like I'm okay moving on to find potential and maybe find some lightning in the bottle here with Yoshi. And that's why I would pick him. At the end of the day, Colin Moran could be the better player. But I don't think Colin Moran can do what Yoshi can do for sure. So that's right now, based on this, I'm going into next season with Yoshi and not Colin Moran, if given the choice. Hopefully, they have both of them next year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see why they can't have both. I mean, it sounds like the DH is probably going to be in the NL. I would imagine that's going to be in the new CBA. So if it is, you know, you've got Moran at first, Yoshi as your DH, right? And then that automatically kind of fixes that issue of, hey, who's your DH, right? Because I mean, ideally, your DH, you don't want it to just be like the guy you're giving an off
Cole
to,
Tucker,
right? Yeah, like you don't want Cole Tucker to be your DH. You want somebody there who basically can't play defense, right? But he can mash. And I mean, that's what Yoshi seems like he is. I mean, he's kind of perfectly fitted for it if he's hitting. So. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think, you know, the Pirates are definitely happy with what they see out of Yoshi. So I think, you know, if it was up to them, they'd like to have him back. And hopefully Yoshi likes it in Pittsburgh.
Well, they do have Chipotle, so apparently the Chipotle is really good in Pittsburgh, Jim. So, but they may have to make sure you try it next time. It's life-changing.
Pittsburgh Chipotle, yeah.
Yes. Screw Permane, screw all this other stuff. Just, it's Chipotle. All right. Yeah, I can't say enough how much I've just been pleased about Yoshi. Just crossing my fingers and hoping like this is all real. But again, like you can't fake power. Like that's the thing. You just can't fake it. John Nagowski could fake being a good hitter for a little bit because balls, like he was making contact and balls were dropping for a time until they weren't. You can't fake hitting, and batting 288, right? Hitting 11 extra base hits out of 15 hits, 7 for home runs. Like you just can't do it. And his flyouts are like warning track flyouts. So, yes, I'm all for Yoshi. I want to see him as a Pirate next year. But you're right. That's the thing. Like he can be signed by anyone, and the Dodgers could be like, "Oh, well, thank you, Pittsburgh. I appreciate that. Here's $20 million, Yoshi."
Thank you for fixing it.
Right. Who knew that the Rays and the Dodgers couldn't fix Yoshi? It was going to come down to the Pirates. All right, should we get into our prospect talk here and wrap this up?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it.
Very quickly. All right, so you mentioned Nick Gonzalez. Let's get right back into it. He's the player of the month, player of the week, player of the game, player of the year, player of whatever. Of course, in A ball, but albeit he's just dominating. He's still dominating. I'm loving what I see out of Nick Gonzalez right now. You mentioned the hand injury. I feel like that was a big part of it. I mean, he's going on the IL, coming back healthy on the IL. There were some lingering issues. The hand apparently is good because he's performing like hell since as we get going back to like July 16th or 18th or whatever. Just home run after home run. The strikeout rates still drop. Well, he had some strikeouts here recently, but it's still not terrible. Nick Gonzalez. Take it away, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of keep saying the same thing every week here. He was the player of the month for high A ball in August. He was the player of the week, first week in September. So he's not slowing down. He is just crushing the ball, right? And it's really good to see. He came in with high praises. This guy can hit. I mean, he can hit. Like that was his tool. Like coming out of the draft was this dude could hit, and we're seeing that now. Like he can hit. I mean, he's completely dominating high A pitching right now. I think he's in the lead for the batting title. It's actually him and Jared Triolo, I think, are battling it out for high A batting title. So, yeah, dude can hit. I think I've made my opinion known on this. Like, apparently, Ben Cherington thinks it's important that this team sticks together for a high A Southeast playoff run.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. I think it's more important for Gonzalez's development to get some at bats at AA before the offseason. But I'm not the one who gets paid to make these decisions, I guess. So, and my whole thing on this really is, it's just a matter of like at the end of the day, our goal is to get Nick Gonzalez major league ready, right? Like that's the goal, right? So like you got to weigh this. Is Nick Gonzalez being part of a playoff run in high A ball while he's clearly demonstrated he is good enough to move to the next level, right? I mean, he's clearly demonstrated this by now. He's just crushing the level that he's at. So is it better for Nick Gonzalez's development to just continue to beat up on pitching that he's clearly better than and go to the postseason, or challenge him a little bit, move him up to the next level for a few weeks, give him a taste of what AA ball is like, so that when he goes into the offseason, he knows, okay, here's what AA ball is like. I need to be able to figure out how to do this, this, and this. He can work on this, this, and this. And then next year he starts off in Altoona and he's already experienced it before, right? So he can kind of hit the ground running. That's my thinking on this is, hey, I want him to experience AA ball. It's a big jump from high A to AA.
Right.
You actually have pretty good pitching prospects in Double-A. So that's my thought. And again, it has a lot to do too with like he's just getting passed by his peers. Like all of those first round college hitters, they're not in high A ball anymore. They're all in Double-A. Torkelson's in Triple-A, but we'll kind of separate him because he's a little special. But everybody else is in Double-A. So it's nice. Obviously, it's better that he's crushing high A pitching right now as opposed to still, middling around like he was at the beginning part of the year, right? It's nice to see that. But like I want to push him because I'm under the impression that like Nick Gonzalez should be in Pittsburgh in June next year, right? So like what's going to be the quickest way to get him ready for major league play by June, right? Like I want him up. I want him up and I want him ready to go. I don't know if this is the best way to accomplish that. We'll see. I mean, if Greensboro goes on, wins a championship, then, maybe that's better for him, But yeah, that's my thought. That's my thought process.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I don't really disagree with you right now. We've debated this, for a bit of time, and again, we all know my initial stance was I'm indifferent. There's not a whole lot of time there if he's still here, but like he keeps turning it up a notch. It seems like every week, and so it's at the point now where it's like, well, what's the point? Like, obviously, he's well above these guys, right? Again, let's go back to the whole Rosie thing. Rosie was just embarrassing everyone. Right? Like, why keep him down here? He's head and shoulders over the competition. He's just going out there and just dominating little kids, right? It's like at recess, you go out there and there's like all the 5-year-olds at kickball or dodgeball, whatever, right? Like that's what Rosie was doing. Well, now that's what Nick Gonzalez is doing. It's clear as day right now. And so since his stretch, right, 7-16, we talk about since his stretch, he has hit he has 36 singles, 14 doubles, 3 triples, 12 home runs. I mean, he's absolutely crushing the ball. 361 batting average. Talk about weighted run created plus 187. He's 87% better than the average hitter. There's clearly nothing to prove here. I think the only thing, right, like the downfall is the injury and the timing of the season. If he wasn't injured, he'd have been up in Double-A by now, clearly. I just felt because of the injury, him coming back, and now there is just a few weeks left of, Double-A and such anyways. I still would rather see him there, but that's also why I'm not going to give all hell to Cherington. It's to me, it's not as if he had a full healthy season and over like 400 plate appearances, he's still down in Single-A doing this. That's the only out I give Cherington to this is he didn't have the full year, and there's just a few weeks left, and this team's in the playoff hunt. So kind of keep him there. Maybe they're meaningful at bats. He gets the playoff runs he can go into. But that's the only thing. I still, like you said, for the development of him, I feel like I'd rather have him in Double-A. See the 2 weeks there, see the Double-A, get that again. It's that promotion, it's that call up, it's that you did a great job. Here's your reward, right? Because he's not getting that reward this year. But all that together, all that aside, what I just will say, and this doesn't outweigh it, but that bond he and Peguero are creating right now, it's not that you can't recoup it because Peguero can get caught up to Double-A next year too, right? I mean, he's on that path. But I'm just going to say, like, that bond they're making seems pretty special. Boy, oh boy, do I hope they both pan out. Because if that could be the middle infield, again, that bond they have is really, really special.
Yeah, no, they definitely are clicking, right? I think they were roommates during spring training. They're roommates now. Like they clearly like each other. So, that's good to see.
They both wear those cowboy hats and jeans in that picture, and like you can tell those guys, they like each other. Yeah.
No, they like each other. And I'm sure they push each other, which is good too. I mean, they're both very good. I would expect both of them to start in Altoona next year. Peguero has shown that, he's definitely ready for the next level too. Mm-hmm. But not as much as Gonzalez, but yeah, Peguero is definitely doing what he needs to do to just, take the next step.
Yep. Also younger.
Also younger, yeah. But I mean, going back, I think at this point, we've waited too long that you might as well keep him down there. It's just not the way I would have handled it.
Sorry, Jim.
But I mean, he's killing the ball. Just absolutely killing the ball.
Yes, he is. Do we want to next transition this to, we just mentioned him. He's back, Jim. I mean, Rosie Contreras made his second start last night. 3 innings pitched, no earned runs, 4 strikeouts, no walks. He's back, Double-A.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all a little bit worried about him when he got hurt. He was down for 2 whole months, right?
Mm-hmm.
July and August, he missed. He made his second start back yesterday, and apparently looked pretty good. So yeah, 4 strikeouts in 3 innings, no earned runs, 1 hit. He will be somebody who I would expect to be in PNC Park at some point next year. He's on the 40-man roster, which makes things a little bit easier. I think he'll be in Major League spring training, obviously. I don't think he'll get a spot, on opening day, but I don't think it'll be too long before he's up, which is exciting. As long as he stays healthy.
Another guy, like, I feel like he'd be in AAA right now. That promotion, if it had not been the injury, clearly he's going to be in AA, and I'm perfectly okay with that. Like, there's no really big point of putting him in AAA right now. He's ramping up, right? 2 innings first time out, 3 innings last night. But so you mentioned, like, he could be in the majors next year. I think he's pounding on that door. He's probably not going to make it out, but midseason call up, definitely a possibility. Same token, we'll kind of put this together, right? So Miguel Yajure also was injured, right? He's back and such. And let's kind of transition too, because these guys haven't had a whole lot of time this year of pitching because of the injuries. There's been some talk a little bit. I mean, John Baker, right? There was an interview with him and talking. And so there's a real possibility these two could be in the Arizona Fall League, which I think would be a very good thing for them to do, right? And there's another reward. There's also another, like, you're close. You're in the Arizona Fall League, right? But yeah, so Yajure and Rosie Contreras, both back. Big deep breaths, because I was with you with, I think, the rest of Pittsburgh, who just felt like, oh boy, like elbow injury. They're on the mend right now. Tommy John's coming. It's coming because we're Pirates fans, and only bad things happen. But it seems that they avoided it, and just as a broad picture too, it seems like a lot of pitchers avoided it for the Pirates. You're over and under this year on Tommy John surgeries. I think you're winning it. Only so Blake Searland, right? Really, and
yeah,
he wasn't on the 40-man technically by our standards. So, what a healthy year for the Pirates.
Other thing we found out about Searland was, like, he sounds like he was hurt already. Like, he was already hurt, and he tried pitching through it.
That knucklehead
until he couldn't. Yeah. No, you mentioned the fall leagues, right? And that was something that John Baker touched on, with his time with the media the other day. Some interesting stuff there, because the Pirates do have a lot of players who I feel like, especially this year, more than any year, can benefit from that, right? And that has to do with, one, we had the off year last year, so let's get these guys as much playing time as possible. Mm-hmm. And then 2, we had some folks who missed some playing time, right? So Yajure and Contreras, right, both missed 2 months basically. So what's a way to give them some innings, right? The thing with the Arizona Fall League is it's ran by Major League Baseball, so everything's kind of controlled. It's a very controlled environment. If you want Contreras to only throw 1 inning and 20 pitches, you can kind of make sure that happens. Whereas, the Venezuelan Winter League and Dominican Winter League, it's a little bit different. They're, operating as independent clubs. Rosie is from the Dominican. Yajure is from Venezuela, so I don't know if they would rather do that or do the Fall League. I'm not really sure how that's going to go. I think the Fall League is a perfect place, though, to send Nick Gonzalez, who missed some time, it's a perfect place to send Henry Davis, who's injured, whose season got cut short. So like if Davis is healthy enough to play in the fall league, I think we see him going there. But yeah, a lot of candidates for winter ball. O'Neal Cruz, is, I don't know if they'll have him.
He would make perfect sense though too.
Yeah, another person who will definitely be playing winter ball. He missed some time as well. So, yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. O'Neal Cruz playing in the Dominican Winter League would be nice too, because that's like really good competition. I mean, major leaguers go and play that, during the winter.
Right.
So, so it'd be good to see Cruz do that. I know in the past few years he's been in that league, but he hasn't really gotten a ton of playing time. So he may now have kind of gotten to the point where he can play a lot. So that'll be something.
See that home run he hit the other day. He's definitely a grown man.
Yeah, geez. So I mean that'll be something that'll be actually really interesting this offseason. Is the Pirates are going to have a lot of prospects playing in winter leagues. It sounds like the Pirates want to get as many people playing during the winter as possible. As far as position players go, their pitchers, it sounds like they're going to be a lot more conservative with them, especially people who have been pitching the whole year. They don't really want them to go out there and pitch more innings. But the guys who miss time, sounds like they're fine with those guys going out to winter ball. So yeah, I mean, we should see rosters probably coming out here pretty soon for all those leagues. So stay tuned on that stuff. Could be some interesting names.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to highlight too is what you mentioned about Henry Davis. Obviously he's not playing baseball because of the health. And I think that was something to highlight and touch on, because they did mention, like, people within the Pirates organization talking about Henry Davis as a possibility of going to the Arizona Fall League. I think is good, because like obviously he should be come back as healthy. So he it sounds as if they like you mentioned, they really do want to go to the Arizona Fall League. So I'm all for it. Where I thought he was probably done for the year, sounds like he'll be coming back and playing the Arizona Fall League. So that's good stuff there too.
Definitely.
All right. Anything else that you wanted to touch on as far as the prospects?
No, I think that's everything. I guess before we wrap it up, are the Pirates gonna sweep somebody today, Donardo?
No.
Is the sweep happening?
No, it's not. Of course not. Why would you think that?
It's gotta happen at some point, right?
What's funny is, like, for a team that's so bad, the amount of opportunities they've had to sweep this year is like alarming, right?
I think they're 0-12 when they have the chance to sweep. Like
the
had
fact
12
that they've
chances.
had 12 opportunities to sweep. It's like the Pirates only win in bunches, right? The Pirates only win 2 games at a time. And it's at the beginning. It's like the first game and the second game of a series. And then there's the L. And then there's like 4 L's after that. And then they win the first 2 games of a series and they lose. No, they're not winning the game today. It's clear as day they're not. Doesn't matter. 0-13. Put your brooms away.
Need to win. We need to win. Let's go, Mitch Keller. Come on.
All right, Mitch. I'm sorry, but you have everything against you. You already had a good start last game, so we know it's going to be bad for you this game. You're in a sweep position, so you know you're going to lose. Like, everything's going against Mitch Keller. If you're betting money, put everything that Mitch Keller has a bad start, and whatever possibility way you can do that, right? Bet on Detroit today. Bet on everything that's going to have Mitch Keller as a bad start, because it's how it's going to go. That's it. You know better, Jim. Come on.
I need a sweep. I mean, I'm pretty sure we're the entire history of the franchise. That's the stat, right? We've swept somebody in every season.
So it's not happening this season.
It's like 150 years.
The Pirates are breaking records, and that's not going to stop them today. This is not the records that you want broken this year.
Yeah, we don't want that record broken.
Well, sorry, Tigers are winning. It's now reached 69 degrees. Let's get out of here, Jim.
All right.
I guess we will be back tomorrow on NS9 Live, fresh off the Pirates non-sweep. So we'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.
See you guys.